All right, guys, we got the Galaxy S23 versus the S22 Plus. This is a full speed test comparison that you guys have been requesting. Let's make sure everything is closed out here. Both phones are on the latest software, One UI 7, and we have the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 and then the 8 Gen 1, and they're both base models, so 8 gigs of RAM on both. Let's go ahead and get started here. I'm very curious to see what happens. The S22 should be able to keep up. It's been extremely consistent with this One UI 7 update. We see the S23 slightly faster there. A lot of people have been, requesting or just curious about, upgrading from your S22 to the S23 for the performance. And I don't think there's going to be a big performance here. Like I said, the S22 series is coming to the end of its lifespan with the One UI 8 update. So maybe that's why. But there's a performance jump when it comes to gaming, which I will show you guys. But as you guys can see, it's still able to keep up pretty nicely here. You see the animations are silky smooth. I think Samsung did a really good job this year. Temple Run, we'll do Open PUBG last since it typically is going to kick out most of the applications. We're trying to see how many apps we can run. The S22 Ultra is actually is winning some of these, surprisingly. All right, very, very nice. Pretty much the same so far. Amazon. Yeah, S23 a little bit quicker there. Yeah, they feel, like I said, guys, they feel extremely similar. That's why I tell people, if you're not like really a gamer, you're really not gonna feel the difference here at all. Okay. Camera. Jetpack. Again, S23. Yeah, it's not significantly faster. And I'm more like paying attention to animations. But there's really just no stutter here. For your reference points, I think these are like the best scores. I think Geekbench is kind of weird. You have to run the test multiple times, but that's what the scores are. That's 23. So you guys can see it's barely faster. It's not really that much faster. All right, Angry Birds. And the issue with the 8 Gen 1 is that it can heat up a little bit more. So that is most people's problem with this processor, is that when you are gaming and doing more intense stuff, the phone tends to get a little bit hotter. Okay. I mean, the animation consistency on the S22 has been fantastic. I'm really impressed. Okay. Yeah, guys, so there's really no difference here. There's really a slight difference. Now, gaming performance, you can see 18 frames versus almost 15 frames on the S22 Plus. But you can see that the frame rate average here is 7 to 19, 12 to 26. Okay. Again, scrolling. Looks like this loaded up I don't know why it's scrolling like that. Weird. Weird. Clock. Start the timer. Yeah, it's pretty smooth. It feels identical, guys. There's legit no difference here. Let's check out the, stop that. Check out the RAM management. Okay, very good so far. Okay. No closeouts. Like that was a restart. Yeah, so it looks like if you get the 8 GB of RAM version, it can't really keep a ton of apps open. You know, if this was 12 gigs of RAM, you can keep more apps open, but you guys can see it just closed, a lot of stuff, basically. A little bit of a stutter on the S22 there. See if it'll happen again. Yeah, so honestly, I don't think there's that big of a difference here with general performance. Animations, like we saw, everything is pretty much the same here. So I personally, if I'm not a heavier user, I wouldn't upgrade. Yeah, everything feels pretty identical. Let's go and launch PUBG. So this is where you will see a difference in performance. Let's just see which phone is hotter. S22 definitely warm here. Yeah, so the S22 Plus is definitely a lot warmer than the S23, and we haven't even really, did any gaming or anything like that. So just something that, and I believe the Exynos processor is even worse for the S22 Plus. All right, so we have PUBG here on the S22. We're still able to play at 90 frames, and like I said, it plays really well at 90 frames. It's decent for playing games. It's not a big deal, but like I said, a lot warmer than the S23 here. And we can play at 120 frames. And this will be better performance across the board for gamers if you do Genshin and Call of Duty, basically emulators. You would definitely have a slightly better gaming experience for sure, and you won't have as much heating. Guys, we got a 1-minute 4K 60 video, so let's go ahead and see the difference here. Boom. So I think in general performance, guys, I'm pretty impressed with the S22 Plus. It did not start lagging with animations, and it was very consistent. And they both kept the exact same amount of applications open. Now, if you are someone that does mobile editing and you make content on your phone or whatever, then you guys can see the power of the 8 Gen 2 a little bit here. And if this was a longer video, of course, it would be, longer render time. So that's also another benefit with this 8 Gen 2 is that, it's faster in ways like this. So if you're doing video editing, stuff like that, it takes a lot, less time to export. But that is pretty much it, guys. So I'm pretty impressed. What do you guys think? I'll catch you guys in the next one.